District goals, mission, and vision.
This is just the information the board wanted to see. Mary Ann was going to put a copy of the district goals. It looks like it's just a copy. Oh, these are the historical goals, Mary, or is it something that's multiple times?
No,
They're
historical.
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 It goes back to
2012.
When this format was implemented in, I believe, fiscal year
2010.
14. No, we went back and hand calculated. The format was a little different. So we went back and hand calculated some of those.
Right, I think we had asked for more than just a 3-year look back.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So each chart adds another year then, right, Kristen? Is that what this is going through then?
Yeah, I believe so. I think there's one duplicate, but yes, they should.
And Mary Ann, can you please make a copy of the vision and mission that are in the student handbook and online, and put a copy in the board book?
It's on the, what we did was we put it on the bottom of the
Oh, okay.
district goals. So that was all in one place.
And there's no vision statement, it's just a mission?
Correct.
Okay. And it's on the first one. Riverside Brookfield is a partnership of parents, students, staff, Board of Education, elementary schools, and community. This academic partnership will provide a comprehensive education in a safe, orderly, well-equipped environment. All students will be prepared with the intellectual, aesthetic, vocational, physical, personal, and social skills necessary to be responsible and effective members of a diverse and changing world. Okay, so, this is something I think that's going to be taken on a mind of its own. It's going to be a process that the board president will work on with the rest of the board.
Mm-hmm.
I will provide whatever information the board would like. If we focus today just on a brief discussion, I can give you a little background information. We wanted to create, when these were created, we wanted to have some data that was measuring the high school on an annual basis. There was some discussion between the board. I wouldn't say there was universal agreement in regard to some of the headers. I know one in particular was the 26 composite ACT, and I think where that drew there was a portion of the board that wanted us to compete or measure ourselves against the top 10 public high schools in the state of Illinois, and so they wanted to see on an annual basis where we were. And then there was a group of board members that also understood that, not every high school is the same. Every high school is dealing either with different demographics, different economic and social variables, and so it's not comparing apples to apples. The 100% benchmark on most of these goals. One of the reasons we used the 100% benchmark, which again is a very aggressive goal, because as you can see over the last several years, we've never gotten to 100%, even though we've shown significant growth in a lot of these. Was how do you, with a high school, determine what 1%, 2%, 3%, or whose kid is not going to be college ready or is not going to graduate, right? And so when we were going through these discussions several years ago, the board felt it was better to say, hey, we should try to get to a 100% graduation rate so that we're invested in every kid getting a diploma. Or the college readiness goal of 100% of our graduation class having a 21 or better. How will you determine, what do you say to the, if a parent comes in and says, hey, what if my kid's one of those 3%, what are you going to say? Our goal is 95% of our kids are going to be college ready, then what about the 5%? And the parents and the students that are part of that 5%, what are you doing with them? So that's kind of the logic behind, 100% of the graduating class. I think the graduation rate, the student average daily attendance, there were two reasons behind the average daily attendance. One, kids can't learn and scores can't go up if they're not in class, right? And so that was an important variable. And then the other reason was under the old state aid formula, your state funding was determined by your average daily attendance. So there was some fiscal implications of having an improvement in student attendance, because then it was in the number of dollars issued by the state was increased. Under the new funding formula, I don't know if that plays as large of a part. The engagement was very big because the board at the time felt that the more students are engaged and have a relationship outside of the school day, the more likely they were to attend school and be invested in school to be eligible for their activities or their athletics. And so that was one of the reasons of having student engagement. The AP scores, that was something that was very big in this district prior to my arrival. It's one of the variables that's used for, the U.S. news reports and some of the local medias that judge schools on the number of students that enroll in an AP class and the number of students that pass an AP class. The other logic of having an AP goal was trying to encourage, we have an open enrollment policy with our AP classes. And so one of the ideas of having the AP goal was students, even if they don't pass the AP exam, national studies have shown that kids that take at least one AP course over the course of their 4 years in high school tend to do better in a college level course because they're exposed to what a college level course is like in regards to the assessments, the reading levels, the work levels. So that was the goal of trying to, more with the AP and excellence, of trying to get at least 75% of the graduating class to pass an AP class and to take an AP class. The last one was the end of the year fund balance. The state of Illinois recommends that a school district maintain at least a 33% fund balance so that in the time of a lapse in dollars or revenue or property taxes, a school district can still maintain its operation. When I arrived in 2011, the school district was in $2.2 million deficit, and our fund balance had tipped as low as 23.3 in 2012. I want to see if it was lower. So it was 30.8 in 2010, and it dipped to 23.3 in 2011, or 23.4 in 2011, and 23.3 in 2012. And so the board wanted this to be a regular goal so that it helped drive the administration and the Board of Education to be fiscally responsible and have them do everything they can to have a balanced budget and to begin to rebuild that fund balance. And as you can see, we are currently at 46.2. Oh, wait, no.
No,
45.8. 45.8. Actually 50%, because it's 50.7 out of, we budgeted at 45.8, we came in at 50.7. So that's just a brief background on how some of these goals came up. I think the board is planning on, and this is where I think the board president should take over some of the discussion. I think the idea of doing a retreat and some public meetings on goals.
Right, so I think we talked about doing a retreat. I think that's important for us as a board, get some vision of where we want to go. I talked to Kevin. I think it might be a good idea to have an actual committee outside of the board actually come up with the goals based on the vision of the board. So the board would get some buy-in from obviously the educators and administrators and the community. But we're the community. But that was my thought there. So I thought I'd like to, I think it's important we do the retreat. I'd like to get it done this summer. I thought we kind of kicked around that last Tuesday in June. Might be a good date. We could all get together. If I'd like to decide at the next board meeting on the 28th a date. So think about that. We can talk about it individually over the next 2 weeks. Kind of discuss where our calendars are, how that works into it.
So is your thought as a closed session, an open session, is it facilitated?
The only way you can do it in closed session is it has to be facilitated by a state organization, and the only state organization I believe that is approved to do this is the Illinois Association of School Boards.
So we are looking at that. There is a cost to that we have to research.
You can do it in public. It can be something that still is facilitated. You know, one way to think about this would maybe be the board does a one-night retreat facilitated with somebody from the School Board Association in closed session just to discuss the board's, each individual board member's goals and where they see the board going and where they would like to see the school district going, and help bring consensus of the board together, and then use that consensus to help drive a public format. The one thing that I did receive feedback, and I think I mentioned this before, is that I think we would have more buy-in from the staff if we had some opportunities to get some staff input on the goals. I mean, at the end of the day, some things with a high school aren't going to change. I mean, you want to follow graduation rate, you want kids to come to school, you want kids to participate in school. But just getting some feedback from the staff on the goals, and you know, maybe more of a growth model than instead of maybe a hard number model. You know, maybe there can be some different ways we measure things. You know, one thing that we've put some money into over the last year or two, and I think the state has now begun to track this on the state report card, is freshmen on track. You know, so, you know, studies have shown, you know, the more kids you can save in their freshman year and have them achieve success in their freshman year, the more likely they are to finish school, to graduate, and to, you know, to have a productive high school career. So we have invested in this freshman academy and doing some things. So that may be a new thing to track, right? Freshmen that are, you know, passing core classes and that are engaged in an activity. I don't know.
Same thing with attendance. Isn't that one of the indicators the state uses
It does.
to come up with our designation?
Sure.
It's definitely a variable.
And there's a percentage.
Yes.
I think it's worth spending the money, because if we're going to do it, we should do it right. It's a new process for many
Right.
of us, so I don't know how we would facilitate it ourselves and maybe come to a place that I just think it's worth the money, because it's not that.
Yeah, it's not that expensive, and I think I'd be a lot more comfortable, and I'm certainly not comfortable facilitating it. So,
Yeah.
and I think if we get some vision statements, that'll drive the separate committee to come up with the goals. If we can get the goals done by Christmas, I think we're in a good spot.
I mean, I would certainly be in favor of a facilitated discussion. I think we all have our different professional expertise and relative knowledge about what happens here, but having just kind of guiding through goals and vision, I think, is a very productive exercise, and it makes sense to have some structure to it as opposed to
Right.
Right.
sitting and talking, right? I mean, and making sure that we do include all of the relevant groups, right? It's teachers, it's other staff, it's community, it's kind of making sure we're casting a wide enough net that we're not eliminating anyone from that discussion.
What are your thoughts? All right. So,
So facilitator it is. I'll start with making connections with the School Board Association on that. And then I will get some information over the next 2 weeks on, is there still need to be a private session with the board first, and then a much larger session after that. I know of one School Board Association group and then one non-School Board Association group. So the one non-School Board Association group is more focused on strategic planning, and I don't know if we needed to go into that just yet. So let me do some homework on that. But I mean, I'll talk to the School Board Association, because they still may say that a smaller retreat with the board to get everybody on the same page, thinking the same way, or, you know.
That seems like a good place to
I think that's
start.
a
You
good
know.
place to start, too.
Before you break off into a two-person board committee and pull community groups and stakeholder groups, and report back to the board, we should try to make sure the 7 board members are on the same page of where they want this to go.
Absolutely.
Right. I
Then
think-
backwards
I think
map
we need
from
to
there.
set
I agree.
some vision, some agenda to it, and
Okay.
then because it's ours to develop.
Okay.
Makes sense. Okay. Sounds
All right.
good. Moving on.
Matters for closed session, personnel, student discipline, sale, lease property, pending intimate litigation, collective negotiation, school safety, visitor statements, none of those. Discussion items, consideration of items for future meetings.
No.
Oh,
Yep.
you know, actually, a couple things. I'm just curious, how much do we spend or are we responsible for unfunded mandates? And
All of them.
All of them.
All of
just,
them.
just from an educational
Bill, I couldn't even.
standpoint, for the public and fellow board members, in case we're not all.
Just to kind of frame it for you, and this is going back 20 years. I went to an IEA RA, which is the representative assembly for the teachers union. We have IFT and IEA in this state. So they had a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and the font was probably 12. And on this side were just lines, and it was trifolded, and lines and lines of unfunded mandates from the state. And then on this side was the ones they've taken out, and there were like 8. And so this side was filled with unfunded mandates, and then this is what they've taken out in like the last 50 years. And there were, again, like this side was only filled. So it continues to mount, and that was 20 years ago.
I couldn't even, I don't even know if there's really a way to give you a cost analysis or a cost breakdown on that, because we just get stuff from the states and they'll say, hey, this year, you need to make sure you have a service project. Okay. What they don't realize is, some legislators said, hey, I think we should have a service project as a graduation requirement. Everybody at Springfield thought that was a good idea. Then what they don't realize is, okay, under a union contract, we got to pay somebody now $35 an hour to supervise these kids doing a service project. And then the clerical person needs to count the hours, right? So there are a lot of unfunded mandates.
Yeah.
Most are.
For, like, right now, there's a proposal, there's more applies to elementary, like where I'm at, but they want to increase the number of minutes for PE.
To 45 minutes from 40.
Right, but like, we use our gym for a lunchroom, right? So we either have to build and hire more staff in order to meet that mandate. So in theory, they're gonna make this mandate, and then they're gonna let schools waive out of it because they can't afford to pay the teachers, or they can't afford to, so like, there's a lot of that goes on too, where you're.
Is there a particular area you would like for me to look into? Or
It's
you're
just
trying
more
to-
generality. And,
Yeah. No, it's a rough go.
Did you see the face that Gina, Kevin, and I all made when you brought that
I don't know
up?
how
I was like,
to get under your skin.
I don't think people necessarily realize outside of education how many mandates, almost all of them, in my opinion, are like unfunded. And and many of them are really good mandates, right? Like they're worthy, but they just don't consider that.
They have the
at
best of
state level.
intentions, but
Right.
but as you saw
but-
tonight, like state funding on special ed is roughly 80% of what they're supposed to give us when it's, so we
But
can't
it's
even get the
mandated that we have to.
money
Yeah.
that's due to us, and they keep coming, right?
It's a rough go.
So.
One other item, I promise I'll stop.
No, don't.
So are you
It's
looking
fine.
for that to be on the future agenda, or is that just a question?
That was just a
Just a
question.
discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another discussion, maybe on an agenda, we'll see, about providing avenues for kids who aren't going to be going to college, whether through, by no fault of their own, whether it be financially just a generational thing with, you know, their family heritage, you know, just how they were raised, or they have no desire. They're just not, you know, there's always going to be a group of children who just don't like school. And, you know, they may be really good with tools, building stuff,
Right.
hands-on.
We can
and
put this as a future agenda item. The
I
board
think
just
there's
received.
just so many opportunities
Yeah,
out
the
there.
board just
Yeah.
received a report on this prior to the new board getting sworn in, but we had started a college and career committee, and so we're starting an internship program for kids to do internships and get elective credit over the summer.
Okay.
We also started doing dual enrollment and dual
Careers.
credit with Triton, so that students that maybe want to graduate early and start enrolling in an associate's program or a certification program can do that while still attending RB. You know,
Career spotlights.
career spotlights, and then we just had somebody come in from all the trades, or they were coming in, right?
Yeah, that was our first career spotlight. So similar to college visits where we have college reps come in and students can sign up to hear the college rep. We're starting the same thing with careers, so students can sign up and hear either a panel or different people in various careers, and trades was one of the first ones that we did.
Okay, so maybe we can put together another report or something I could send out, even if it's a summary, I could send to the board on a Friday update. And then maybe at the start of the school year or end of the summer, we can have Kylie come back.
So,
A good time maybe would be when Beth does her report on matriculation and graduation.
Yeah, but
September.
that's in August, September?
September.
Okay.
I-
Kylie's summary from the previous meeting would be helpful. At least I could get that to the board on the Friday update.
I just have a question then based on that. How was the attendance for that career spotlight? Do you know?
I don't know if.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's have maybe some of those union come in and explain as a college would, and this is the cost, these are what we offer. Maybe the union would come in and say, this is what the cost is, and this is what we offer.
I
And
think,
then how do you get kids to attend that?
Apprenticeship.
well, Wes came
How do
in,
you get kids there to hear
Right.
it?
Wes came in last year with
Right, with the auto mechanics guys.
multiple guys from United and spoke to about, 40 students. Because I went and attended that, and just about the different careers under United. And
What would the process be? I mean, if I were to reach out to would it be inappropriate for me to reach out to an apprentice school here locally and see if they're available to come out here for a seminar or
Yeah.
something?
One of those talks.
yeah, Beth Augustine and the principal set those up. Beth Augustine would be the assistant principal of student affairs, and she sets those up. We would love to do that. We would promote it to classes, or if we have classes that we offer that relate to that, trade or construction tech or things like that.
Sure.
So we could follow up, you and I, on that a little more.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because this was directly with the auto mechanics, the auto.
Right.
Because they're mechanics. You know. And then we did a field trip with the computer science group. That was fun. Down the
We're always
shore,
looking for
showing the network
we're always looking
operations.
for career spotlights for some of our classes, so that's something we could talk about.
Sure.
We need a motion
All
for
right,
close.
closed session.
Resolved that the Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois,
Excuse me.
God bless you, enters closed session for the purpose of considering appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, student discipline, purchase, sale, or lease of real property, probable, imminent, or pending litigation, collective negotiations, and school safety.
Second.
Oh, we had Miss Alice. Oh, so second.
All right, good.
It's about time we break it up here a little bit. No, just kidding.
Jim, we'll go back to no second.
Yes.
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 Yes.